My name is Joel Holmes and I run Fort Rock Farms. I raise beef, pork, and chicken. That is my full-time job now, yes. We owned a repossession company for 25 years. So I went from repo man to rancher. About 2010, we were wanting a different life, something different altogether. Been in the same career my entire adult life. I was crazy overweight, living the typical river guy life, drinking 900 Coors Lights on the weekend and eating crappy food. So I was about 261 pounds, 9 different medications. And my doctor had recommended that instead of these yo-yo diets that I was trying, just eat some real food. Well, living in Lake Havasu, that wasn't real easy. Where do you find real food in Lake Havasu? So we went to the health food store, went to the grocery stores. It's really nothing available. So over time, we started traveling to different farms and ranches and buying direct from them, and just kind of fell in love with the people and their lifestyle and their health. Just the whole vibe was different. Our youngest was coming up on somewhat of a college age, and I had asked my wife, Amy, is this something that you'd like to do for a living? And she's crazy like I am, and she said, yeah, absolutely. So we started looking for property, and by 2013, we had found this place. And it was everything that we could dream of at the time. Great views, it was secluded, everything that actually ended up working against us in the long run. But we were excited to be here. The importance of food. Well, food healed me. I've been down as low as 185 from 261 just based on what I was eating. Living 80 miles round trip to town, the gym is not a possibility for me. So we just live a healthy life up here, and it's all based on food. That's what brought us here in the first place, is we wanted to raise good food. We wanted to learn how to do it and do it for ourselves. Everything we do it revolves around food. Gosh, even as a society, every time you get together for somebody's birthday, what do? You go out to dinner. You celebrate with food. Got a hot date? You're going to dinner. So food has just been such a big part of everybody's life forever and ever. And I think with fast food and the conveniences and the fact that it can be delivered to your house, a lot of people just kind of get away from that. It's something that's brought us together for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And we just kind of went back to that. We cook together, we grow together, we grow food for other people. We've met some of our best friends because of food. Our customer base they become like family to us. Yeah, the importance of food, it's everything to us. That's all of it. I think everything surprised me, but the neatest thing was probably realizing just how much there was to agriculture. If you want to exercise your brain, if you want constant stimulus, try growing broccoli. Try growing anything. Try raising your first pig or your first steer or your first chicken or butchering any of that. From somebody who had the same career for 25 years, everything I did was just muscle memory. I didn't have to think about it. And stepping into this, I got to use my brain again for the first time in a long time. So it was super exciting. And it's still exciting to this day because no 2 days are the same. You could have a run of steers that they're happy, they're healthy, there's no issues with them. And then just out of the blue, one gets sick, you don't know why. Now you're scrambling, you're calling neighbors, you're calling your vet, you're calling anybody that, will talk to you. Hey, what am I doing wrong here? How do I fix this? The constant stimulus from agriculture. You hear all the stories growing up of, farmers and how hard they work and whatever. And maybe that's the case if you're growing corn and soybeans and it's just the same thing over and over again, rinse and repeat, and you don't have any customer interaction. And the farm that we put together, we grow a lot of different stuff at different times throughout the year, and then we sell direct to our customers. Again, we get to hear everybody's story. We get people calling us up and they want to talk about what illness they have. Hey, can I recommend some clean food for them? That's pretty dynamic when you get that kind of connection with people. Just complete strangers, just end up talking with them for an hour on the phone. So I think that part about agriculture probably surprised me the most was the interaction with people, what they're searching for, what they need, and then just the surprise of like all this support. We're out here doing some pretty weird stuff from the outside looking in, but there's a bunch of people that are like, man, that's pretty cool. How can I support you, or how can you support me in my journey, back to health or whatever. The importance of water. If you don't have water, you don't have anything. You just have a big pile of dirt. When we first bought this property, we knew that there was good water in the area, but there's no guarantee. We have neighbors not too far from us that, they punch a well in for $20,000 and they get 2.5 gallons per minute. So one of the first things that we did was spend the money right up front punch the well in and figure out what we had to work with. And we were very fortunate. We hit over 100 gallons a minute at a relatively shallow depth, meaning we could access the water with a solar-powered well pump without having to spend a ton of money or using a bunch of power to get it up out of the ground. So it was kind of the right cocktail of, hey, the water's there, it's available, we can access it by using solar power. If we can just find a way to store it and use that energy of its own weight to irrigate things, we could build whatever we want. We could raise whatever animals we want. Gardens can be as big as we want, orchards, pasture grass. That's the closest I'll ever come to winning the lottery, was finding a piece of property that had a good well on it like that. My daughter and her husband and our granddaughter recently moved here, and we're building a portion of the property for them. And my daughter gets her hands dirty in everything, and she wants to know and understand. So she's been in the trenches, laying water lines, electrical conduit, getting everything prepped and ready, and has a good understanding. And recently the conversation was, I had no idea that there was all this to this. Between putting in a septic system, you have to get rid of the water when you're done using it. Most people don't understand past, I go and I turn on the faucet and the water's there. There's so much infrastructure to make that happen. And in this place, we did it all ourselves, which was a big adventure, big expensive adventure, but gives us the confidence of knowing that if there's an issue with it, we have all the tools and the know-how to fix the stuff and keep moving forward. Gives us the confidence to have tens of thousands of dollars in animals here that are growing out at different stages, to know that we're not going to run out of water, to feed them. So when we started this, we had no idea what we were doing. No clue at all. I'd never run a tractor. I had a little basic plumbing background from a job that I had in high school. We just had a lot of enthusiasm, and my wife and I just don't have a lot of quit in us, which probably cost us a lot of money. Fact is, we had just zero experience, and we learned all this stuff together. Probably cost us twice as much as it should have, because when you make those mistakes, you have to pay for it. So this place is like getting a college degree. Everybody has to pay for college. This was our paying for college. The bright side of that is, if a guy like me can do this with the support of a girl like her, anybody can do it. You have to have the work ethic and you have to want it bad enough, but none of this stuff is black magic. And with the internet, all the information is out there to at least get you started and point you in the right direction and find the answers that you need on doing this stuff right. And believe it or not, working with the county on all this stuff, everything we've done, we've permitted, we've done it all correctly, filled out all the right paperwork and whatnot. And when you walk into those county buildings without a chip on your shoulder, and you literally just walk in and say, I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to do this. Can you help me? They look at you real weird because you're not there to get in a fist fight with them. They have been so helpful. It's ridiculous. They helped us design our septic system, walked us through the paperwork. We haven't had any issues at all. And we actually calculated the cost of permitting everything. Everybody wants to try to save money here and there. And it was less than half of 1% of the entire cost of everything that we've done was getting the permits. If we need to unwind this because somebody gets sick or hurt, we can't live this life. Now we have a property that everything was permitted and done right, and we can sell it, and there's not going to be any issues. We get all of our energy from the sun, with the occasional backup generator, use of propane. And when I say occasional, I'm talking the generator's been there for a long time, and it has a total of 7 charge hours on it. So we built a solar system that's capable, it was designed well, and it covers all of our needs. And I'd like to say that we're like power misers and we've learned to live with certain things. But the fact is, we just spent the money up front, and we just did it to where if Amy wants to do laundry at 11 o'clock at night because we have something to do the next morning, she doesn't think about it. She just does it. If we want to run the air conditioner until midnight because we have a bunch of company over and the house is getting hot, we just run the air conditioner. It's not really an issue. Systems 10 or 15 years ago even, you were constantly monitoring your batteries and you were just worried about power all the time. All that stuff is pretty well gone if you step into the newest, latest, greatest stuff. In almost 4 years now, we've had no power outages, no issues, no burps, no farts, no nothing. Yeah, it's a relatively small system that was designed based on our use, and we've pushed its limits with having company here, and we know exactly what it can and can't do. The other option was paying between $100,000 and $120,000 to have the utility company bring power to our property, and then you have to drop all the lines yourself and get it hooked up to the house. And then you get to pay them a monthly fee, and they don't even apologize when there's a power outage. So I think we kind of win. I think what most people don't know about solar is you can go terribly wrong with a poor design. And if you want to start out with something small and hopefully you can add to it later, it gets real expensive. And in the meantime, you find all the holes in your plan or your program. You end up using generators way too much. So the design that I came up with was robust and expensive. And then I contacted Northern Arizona Wind and Sun in Flagstaff and said, hey guys, this is what I have. What do you think? And they ended up saving me $25,000. They said, it's overbuilt. You don't need it for what it is that you want to do. So again, planning things out right up front saved us a bunch of money, and we couldn't be happier with our system. Working with it like a real engineer, I mean, these people, you just pick up the phone and they're like eager to talk to you. Whereas I know a lot of people that, well, on the internet it said this and that. So why don't you pick up the phone and talk to somebody who does this for a living instead of some guy on a forum that, is still doing it wrong, yet you're taking advice from him. Primary source of income is we do customer direct beef, pork, and pasture-raised chicken sales, mostly to our customers in Lake Havasu City, but we do have customers in the valley, the Phoenix Valley area, that we do several deliveries per year. We'll load up a big freezer and drive down there and take care of them as well. And then we do honey, seasonal vegetables. Amy's got her pickles, and we've sold firewood. You name it, we've done it. It's just whatever we need at the time. We just come up with a new enterprise, or we have the proven winners, and we know the ones that are losers that we just stay away from. Just kind of the entrepreneurial spirit just kind of directs us as to, what we need to do. It's the beef, pork, and chicken that's the majority of our income. Through the design that we've put together here, all of our income comes from the farm. We don't have town jobs. We don't have online jobs. This place provides everything that we need. Do I consider myself a farmer? Yeah, absolutely. I think by definition, a farmer is a vet, a plumber, an electrician, an equipment operator, somebody who takes out the garbage, somebody who takes his wife on date night, somebody who just knows how to do things. I didn't know how to do a lot of that stuff before I started down this road. It's taken me a long time to get here, but the whole experience has just taught us both so much. We're just much more capable people now. And being capable comes with a certain amount of confidence. The uneasiness of the world, all the stuff that used to kind of spin us out or make us worry, whatever's going on in the world, it just doesn't really bother us. When we're inside the fence here, we have everything we need. We can provide for ourselves and our family. Everybody eats, everybody has water. No, we can't order Domino's pizza. There's, a few things that we would like to have that we don't have an opportunity to get up here. But yeah, I would consider myself a farmer because my income comes from my work, my hands, my brain, the stuff that my wife and I came up with. And you'll hear me mention my wife quite a bit. She's 50% of this deal. Like I said, every hour I've ever put in, she's put in right next to me. She just doesn't always like to be in front of the camera. So when you love what you do, when you love the life that you live, do you need anything to keep you going? I don't need a kick in the ass in the morning to get out of bed. I wake up and I'm excited to go to work. I got stuff that I want to do in the morning before it gets too hot. I like what I do. So I didn't always have that. Used to be I'd have to wake up and, drink a 5-hour energy and a Red Bull or whatever and just talk myself into going to my office and then try not to hate everybody, throughout the day. I don't have that anymore. This place is peaceful and it just kind of changes your outlook. So, and then the daily adventure of, what are we going to do today? What animal is going to try to kill itself today? What plant is suddenly going to just look like it's dying for no reason at all when the 3 right next to it are fine? I guess I like just how different every day can be when you don't have the distractions of living in town and 17 different phones ringing and, a lot of people tugging at your shirt all day. We built a pretty cool life up here. So I think that's what keeps me going. We were well entrenched in this lifestyle when COVID happened. The kids started calling day after day, and we have a bunch of them. Hey, I just got laid off. I don't understand what's going on. All right, well, just come home. We'll just make room for you. We'll figure it out. Within 5 or 6 weeks' time, when the world was shutting down, we had everybody here with us. Nothing really changed. The chickens still had to be fed. Cows had to be fed. We had all the food, all the water, all the security, all the dry goods. And it's not because we're preppers. It's 80-mile round trip to town. If you need toilet paper, well, just get 3 or 4 packages and just have it on hand because we don't want to have to go to town. We don't like to run out of things. The security was we were able to provide for an entire family, an extended family, for 3.5 months without having to go to the store. Every now and again, somebody would sneak in and say, hey, see if this is available. But when everybody was running out of meat or running out of toilet paper or whatever, we just had everything here. So we built a life around just being able to take care of ourselves, not because we were scared, not because we were afraid of whatever's going to happen. Our life just makes sense to us. And then once something like COVID happens, now it really makes sense. Sure, we learned a lot through COVID. It's like, hey, we should probably maybe keep this on hand in case, so-and-so comes home or whatever. And boy, we sure burned through that fast. So we've since, addressed that stuff. If something were to happen now, we'd be even better off. But we weren't in a bad place at all for all that. The world was just a screwy place. And, our kids they're young adults. None of us really understood what was happening, but nobody was freaked out. Everybody was just fine. So, I guess that's the security. What is permaculture? I think there's a lot of different definitions that people have come up with over the years, and the longer you do it, the more that definition changes. In the beginning, like everybody else, I'd see all the pictures online, beautiful tropical food forests, and so of course we wanted to do that, and we failed miserably at it because we chose to live at 5,300 foot elevation in Arizona's high desert. We have 50 and 60 degree temperature swings. Going deeper into permaculture, you have to understand your climate and what your limitations are and what your expectations can be. And you just got to be kind of real about it. Anybody can grow a banana tree anywhere. It's just how much work do you want to do to grow a banana tree? Should you grow a banana tree in the high desert? Probably not. But if you want to, you can do it. Now, 9 years later, the definition of permaculture to me is just simply working with everything. The weather, the climate, people, businesses, relationships, you name it. That's pretty much what permaculture is to me, and that's what it's done for me. It's this many years in, I don't really have the vocabulary anymore because it's just a feeling. I look at things different. I look at land and I see slopes. I see drainage issues. I see what might need to be done. I look at business relationships and I see right away, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be a good fit with this person. We're not going to be able to offer each other something that's going to be good for everybody. So maybe I'll just bow out. A friendship, new friendship, old friendship. Hey, we're just not in the same place in our lives right now. So I'm not going to put a bunch of energy or time into this relationship because it's just not a good fit. Before permaculture, like everybody else, I just fight my way through life. And anytime something presented a challenge, you just fight harder. And you can do that sometimes, and it's still good to do. You got to put the work in. But now my brain just goes to, what's the quickest way to resolve this? How do I exert the least amount of energy to solve this problem? And that comes right down to permaculture thinking, where you're just working with what you have at hand instead of having unrealistic expectations. I don't look at my steers and ask them to produce eggs. I don't look at my chickens and ask them to produce ribeyes. I know what they are. They all have a job. I know what they can do. For me to have unrealistic expectations, that's on me. That's my own misery. So I just won't go there anymore. All thanks to permaculture. The future that I see for this place is multi-generational. Someday my granddaughter is providing for her kids based on the foundation that Mimi and Papa laid down by planting the trees and the orchard and the pasture grass and all the infrastructure. I'd love it to be a teaching tool for other people. We've hosted homeschool groups. We've had 25 and 30 people at a time, and just spend the day just teaching them about the composting methods and the general workflow that we have. Why are the steers here? Why are the layers here? How come the pigs are over here? Why are the meat birds here? Why is this garden there? There's a workflow that comes from a design process that allows a lot to get done with minimal inputs. In other words, my wife and I can manage a huge amount of daily chores because we designed it right. Minimal steps between here and here and here and here. Things are automated, water systems, feeding systems. It doesn't take an army to produce enough food to feed an army. All based on permaculture design. Yeah, I'd love to share that with people in the future. I'd love to have more people doing this because this life makes sense. It makes sense for the planet. It makes sense for my friends, my family, my loved ones. If I can make 2 or 3 people feel as good as this place makes me feel, that's a win. That's like an overall life win. If we can extend it beyond that, cool. So 9 years seems like a long time. When you're 50 years old, It's just kind of a blip on the radar, really. The amount of hours that we've put in, we don't do 7 and 8 hour days when we're doing infrastructure projects like laying water lines or solar systems or dirt work or whatever. These are 14 and 15 hour days. We're coming up on the end of a lot of that stuff, so we're starting to be able to pull back and just enjoy the infrastructure that we've put together. So the timeline doesn't make a lot of sense how people would normally relate time. There's thousands of hours put into this place with the main goal of minimizing the amount of time that it's going to take as we kind of age out. I probably have another 10, 12 good years in me of being able to work really as hard as I want to. Delayed gratification is something that's been lost on my generation and every generation after that. Everybody wants everything now, and it feels really good when you get it, like right now. But you know what feels great is when you've waited for 6 months or a year, or that second year that the apple tree finally produces apples. That delayed gratification is something that not a lot of people understand how great that can feel. So time-wise, what does it take to do something like this? You can't be afraid of, oh, I'm not going to see something immediately. If you need that fix, that drug of choice of the immediate gratification, go cut down a tree, make some firewood. You can make it all happen right away, and you have exactly what you need right there. If you want to enjoy some delayed gratification, replant that tree and watch it bloom, watch it get knocked over by a storm, and you got to shore it back up. Put the work in, and then start to enjoy the feeling that can only come from that delayed gratification by putting the work in, laying the water lines to feed that thing. It's two different worlds, and I wish I could explain it better. I wish I could show it to more people. I just need more time to show it to them. So if somebody is intimidated by the thought of doing this, they're smart. You need to exercise a little bit of caution before you step into something like this. But then ask yourself, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to stay in your cubicle? How bad do you want to continue to hate your job? How bad do you want to continue to be disconnected from your spouse, your kids, the land, your food source? How bad do you want it to get before you actually choose to do something like this? All this is hard work. And yeah, you're going to put the video games down for a minute and, maybe research some of this stuff. Whatever your distractions are that take you away from your normal life, I guarantee you have enough time in your day to do the research and start with a little patio garden. I don't care if you live in an apartment. Everybody's got a deck on their apartment. Just plant it, put it in a pot, put it out, and just start there. To do the scale that we did, it's probably a little crazy, but it was a good fit for us. But you have to remember, I had no skills, no background. Grandpa did not leave me a 4,000 acre ranch. I didn't know anything about beef other than the New York strip was my favorite cut. I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. I just knew that I wanted a different life. We dove in head first. Thankfully, I had the support of my wife. She's just as crazy as I am. She wanted it every bit as bad as I did. So, we didn't have that friction, which definitely helps. But this is doable for anybody on any level, on any scale, to get back to the permaculture and the mindset. Honestly, I could leave this place, take what I've learned with me, and go back into my previous business or a different business world or whatever, and I'm going to be a happier person because my relationships are going to be better, my connections are going to be better, the ego is going to be gone, the way that I talk with people, the way that I value people, value assets, value everything, that would change. You don't need a 50-acre farm. You don't need $100,000 worth of livestock. You don't need a $20,000 high tunnel to have that kind of mindset of just valuing your spouse and your neighbor, or where your food comes from, or just even supporting the guy that took the first step and he's growing some tomatoes and he's doing his first trip to the farmer's market, whatever. Go pat him on the back, buy his tomatoes. What do you have to lose? You can be a part of this, a small fraction, or you can go all out, and before you know it, it's completely consumed your life and you're just a happier person for it. If our family can do it, anybody can, because we were not the likely candidates to pull this off, and we've pulled it off.
Hire us to tell your story. As an independent team of filmmakers, we love producing documentaries for artisans of all trades, honoring skill, passion, and determination.
The fruits of our labor literally creates happiness.
Founded in 2020, we harness our collective experience and enthusiasm for storytelling to deliver content that resonates with viewers on every level.
Think big and think outside of the box.
We avoid the constant noise of clickbait news and outrage headlines, instead crafting more intimate narratives that touch on the purpose of life itself. Stories that not only inform but also inspire, whether it's the art of agriculture, the science of fermentation, an innovative garage startup, or the intricacies of off-grid living. We're here to explore it all and invite you to join us in the discovery.
You're just working with what you have at hand instead of having unrealistic expectations.
We know the world is brimming with hidden stories waiting to be told. These are tales of ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
The biggest thing is to realize that there's nothing that you can't do.
Embodying the American spirit that with hard work, dreams really can come true. So whether you're a garage baker, homegrown mycologist, backyard farmer, or off-grid homesteader, send us a message and share your story with the world.